Okay, let's dive right into this. Picture this. A nasty storm rolls through, the lights flicker, and bam, your entire house goes completely dark. After that initial jolt of surprise wears off, pretty much all of us get the exact same sinking feeling in our stomachs. We start thinking about the refrigerator. You know, that immediate dread of losing all your expensive groceries? The dairy, the fresh produce, last night's leftovers, all just sitting there, slowly spoiling as the hours tick by? It is a super stressful scenario. And honestly, it's the exact reason so many of us start frantically researching backup power options for our homes.
But hey, before you rush out in an absolute panic to buy some massive, wildly expensive generator, we've got to answer one fundamental question. How much power does your fridge actually use? If you start poking around online for answers, you're going to run into some seriously anxiety-inducing rumors pretty fast. A lot of online guides and forums tend to treat household refrigerators like these monstrous, power-hungry beasts that need industrial-level energy just to keep running.
In fact, you'll see this specific number thrown around all over the place as a standard benchmark: 4 kilowatt hours per day. I mean, it sounds super scientific, right? And it sounds like a massive power load. If you're trying to size a battery backup or a solar generator system, calculating for 4 kilowatt hours a day is going to force you into buying some really large, really expensive equipment. But today, we are going to completely bust this massive and frankly totally wrong myth using real-world testing data.
So let's kick things off with Section 1, rated power versus actual draw. To figure out exactly why everyone gets that 4 kilowatt hour calculation so incredibly wrong, we've got to start by looking at that intimidating warning sticker stuck to the back of every appliance. Let's talk about rated power. If you yank your fridge away from the wall, you'll see a sticker listing its rated power, usually in volts and amps. It might say something like 115 volts and 3 amps, which works out to roughly 350 watts. But here is the critical misunderstanding. This sticker represents the absolute maximum power the unit will draw under extreme conditions. Think about when you first buy a brand new fridge, bring it home, and plug it in at room temperature. It has to work at absolute full tilt just to cool down to a safe temperature. But that is not its normal day-to-day state. Once a fridge actually reaches its target temperature, it only sips a tiny fraction of that power to maintain the cold.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the massive gap between what that sticker says and what actually happens on a daily basis. When a standard personal fridge is actively cooling, just doing its normal everyday job of maintaining temperature, it doesn't draw that rated 345 watts. It actually only draws about 110 watts. That is a huge difference. But to really nail this point home, we shouldn't just look at a single appliance.
Let's walk through some real-world lab tests comparing 3 completely different household units. Up on the first line, we've got the personal fridge we just talked about, rated for 345 watts, but pulling an actual draw of only 110 watts. Now, look at that middle row, a high-capacity fridge. This is the big guy. It's rated for a whopping 609 watts on the sticker. You'd think a beast like that would require a massive generator, right? No. During active cooling, it only draws about 130 watts. And finally, we have a lab fridge rated at 350 watts that also drew just 110 watts while running. So across the board, every single model, even the giant high-capacity one, draws significantly less wattage than their official labels suggest when they're just maintaining their chill. Moving right along to Section 2, the role of duty cycles. Because, you see, looking at the wattage alone is really only half the story when it comes to daily power consumption. To get the whole picture, we need to talk about how a fridge operates over time. A lot of the panic around emergency backup power stems from this terrible math right here. Let's call it the myth formula. A ton of people mistakenly assume a fridge draws its full rated power for a huge chunk of the day. There's this common but totally inaccurate formula floating around that claims a fridge runs for 1/3 of every hour. That translates to running 8 hours a day, and if you multiply those 8 hours by a 350 watt rated unit, you get a daily usage of about 2.8 kilowatt hours. When people use this math, they drastically overestimate their backup power needs. But as real-world testing proves, this formula is entirely bogus.
And this brilliantly illustrates how a refrigerator actually behaves in the real world. A fridge doesn't just run constantly. It operates in cycles, which depend on the ambient temperature of your house and, of course, how often you're opening the doors to stare blankly inside. Under normal household use, the compressor is actually a sprinter. It kicks on and runs for about 10 minutes every hour, and then it is completely off for the remaining 50 minutes. So it's really only running 1/6 of the time, not the 1/3 that the myth formula claims.
So when you combine that actually low wattage draw with a realistic duty cycle of just 10 minutes an hour, the math changes completely. Testing over a full 24-hour period, and yes, that includes normal door opening and closing, revealed that the actual daily consumption for these standard fridges is roughly 1.3 kilowatt hours, or 1,300 watt-hours. That's it. It is less than half of the 2.8 kilowatt-hour myth estimate, and it absolutely shatters that terrifying 4 kilowatt-hour rumor we started with.
Next up is Section 3, Idle Power and Features.
Now, while these low numbers are fantastic, there's one small caveat we need to cover to be totally thorough here. Idle power. Most basic fridges draw basically zero power when the compressor is off, but modern luxury features create what's known as a vampire draw. If your fridge has integrated electronics, fancy touchpads, LED displays, an ice maker, or a water dispenser, it's going to sip a tiny bit of electricity continuously. For instance, during testing, the lab fridge consistently drew between 5 to 15 watts of power even when it wasn't actively cooling, literally just to power those features. It's a really small amount, sure, but it's a steady draw that definitely factors into your overall usage.
Let's move to Section 4 and see how this builds into the practical implications for backup power.
So, what does all this realistic math actually mean for you and your emergency preparedness? Well, the great news is that understanding your actual consumption changes the game entirely. Because refrigerators are so much more efficient than their official ratings imply, you can finally breathe a sigh of relief. You absolutely do not need a massive, wildly expensive hardwired generator just to survive a standard day-long power cut. In reality, even smaller, highly affordable portable power stations are often completely sufficient to keep your fridge humming and your food safe during a typical 24-hour outage.
So, the crucial point is this. If you do decide to bite the bullet and invest in a high-capacity power station, your return on investment is incredible. Based on that real-world 1.3 kilowatt-hour daily usage, a high-capacity unit can keep a standard refrigerator running for 3 full days on a single charge. Think about that. 3 whole days without needing a drop of external solar input or recharging.
We've thoroughly debunked the high-wattage myth, we've broken down the real duty cycles, and we've looked at the actual numbers. So, with these real-world numbers in hand, how does this change your emergency preparedness plan? It is incredibly empowering to realize you're likely much closer to being fully prepared than you originally thought. You don't have to live in fear of the next blackout, and you definitely don't have to overspend on massive equipment based on internet myths. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer. Go recalculate those backup needs, and I'll catch you next time.